On the heels of this latest school shooting here in this country, our next guest knows the pain of losing a child, something no parent should ever have to endure. And he is turning to AI to give his son the voice that was stolen from him. Manuel Oliver's 17-year-old son, Joaquin, was murdered in the 2018 mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Manuel and his wife, Patricia, started an organization called Change the Ref, and they are trying to change the way this country, and politicians in particular, think about gun violence. Manuel Oliver joins me now. And sir, we've spoken several times over the last 6 years. It's always good to talk to you. And as always, you have every positive thought I have in my body is with you as a father and as a human being. So thanks for speaking to us again. I would imagine that every school shooting since 2018 has been particularly triggering and hard for you to deal with. I'm curious, what was your first thought when you heard about Appalachia High School?
To be honest, I was not surprised, and actually to be a trigger for other parents, those parents that still have their kids alive. For me, there's nothing that I can do to bring Joaquin back. But there's a lot of things that those parents can do to prevent this from happening, and that's what we try to do now.
And that's absolutely what you're doing. So let's talk about this campaign, which is a collaboration, I understand, with the group March for Our Lives. You use AI so we can hear the voices of children who've been killed by guns, including the voice of your son, utilizing artificial intelligence. Let's take a listen to it.
You're at Parkland. Many students and teachers were murdered on Valentine's Day that year by a person using an AR-15. It's been 6 years and you've done nothing, not a thing to stop all the shootings that have continued to happen since.
Yeah, it's incredibly painful to hear. I would imagine it was a painful decision for you to allow Oliver's voice to be used in this way.
It was. Actually, my wife, Patricia, when she heard that for the first time, she wanted to hear more. That's what she said. And I was shocked with that. But it's not only Joaquin. We have other families that added the voice of their loved ones. This is not limited to school shootings. This is trying to be, as a big picture, respond to gun violence. Yes, we are partnership with March for Our Lives, which we all know that has thousands of kids all around the nation. So I think we're trying to get these messages as far as we can. We're sending these calls to members of Congress, and they ignored my calls for 6 years. I don't think they can ignore the calls of the reports.
Yeah, and that's really the idea of this, right? Instead of you calling a congressman, not you, I mean anybody who would call their congressperson, you can now send these voices to them, and you think that will have much more of an impact. I'm curious, in the two recent school shootings we've had, it's bizarre to even talk in these terms, but in the two recent school shootings, we've seen parents charged in this last one, and even convicted, the Crumbleys. I'm wondering, do you think that is going to be something we see more of, and do you think it will have an impact on deterring possible shootings in the future?
Well, I think it will. You know that when you go to a background check, no one is asking you if you plan to give this weapon to your son, to your 14-year-old son for Christmas. So it's impossible to prevent that from happening. And this guy broke the law, and it has to be punished. So I hope that as well as his son, they spend the rest of their lives in prison. I think it will mark a precedent. It's a new thing that I've been seeing for the last 2 years, just said it. But we need more than that. You know, that having the person who pulled the trigger in jail is not enough for us. We need to change this. We can prevent this from happening, and we need our leaders to start doing the right thing.
Manuel, so many times over the last 6 years, you've come on to one of our shows. You've talked to us about what you're doing to make change. You know, but I think to myself, it's been 6 years since that horrific day for you. How is your family doing? I know you're out there, and this is part of maybe your healing process. You're just trying to make it better for other people. But how are you and your family doing?
We're being active, you know. If you ask me what were we doing on the day of the Georgia shooting, we were fighting against gun violence. So I will ask the same thing to anyone watching this interview. What were you doing that day? But we don't have time to not do anything and then pray. That equation has not worked. and we need to change that normal. That normal is not working. Let's get together. Let's prevent it from happening. You don't have to suffer what we went through. You can prevent this.
Yeah, no, losing children should never be the normal. Manuel Oliver, thank you so much for taking the time. It's always good to talk to you. My best to you and your family.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.